Let's take a trip down memory lane. What's up, everybody? It's Adam for Rando Reviews, and today I'm going to talk about a little thing that you might be obsessed with just like I am, and that is nostalgia. Now, I was born in the 80s, and it seems like a lot of stuff that is marketed towards my age group is all about nostalgia. You have Stranger Things, you have the rebirth of Ninja Turtles and Transformers, Power Rangers, all these things that are coming back into our lives to make us remember our childhoods. You got the Nintendo Classics, the Super Nintendo Classics. You got all these things that are popping back in that says, hey, remember me? You should come back and buy me again. I mean, millennials, we love nostalgia. Look at the shirt I'm wearing. It's a DuckTales shirt. This is one of my favorite cartoons from a child. You had cartoons like Ghostbusters, The Real Ghostbusters. You had Dino Saucers. You had all those things back in the day that just made you smile, that made you be so pissed when they went off and then the Gumby show came on. You're like, oh man, I should have went to school instead of stayed home because now I got to watch Gumby, and then it's the crappy, Regis and Kathy Lee, and then on to soap operas, and then Inside Edition. Then you finally get back to, the Disney cartoons like Tailspin and DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, things like that. That's when childhood was good. You had video stores where your parents gave you one video or one game per week. I had my nephew over here just the other week playing my Nintendo Classic, and what did he do? He'd play for about 3 minutes, go, nah, new game. 3 minutes later, nah, new game. I said, bud, you wouldn't have made it in the 80s and 90s. You had one game all weekend, and if you didn't like it, if it was too tough, that's all you got. I mean, there was nothing like going to the movie store and just browsing Blockbuster, browsing your little mom and pop video store and finding the movie or game you've been looking for months because your parents weren't as cool as the other parents who took their kids on Tuesdays when the new releases actually came out. No, they took you at 7 o'clock on a Friday when everything was already gone. It was back in the day where you would go to arcades and spend quarter after quarter on games like Outrun and Paperboy. You would stay up late on Sunday nights to watch the Stephen King made-for-TV movies like The Langoliers and The Stand. I mean, our childhood was amazing. I drive my wife nuts with all the things that I buy from my childhood. I recently went on a spending binge buying years and years of early 90s Nintendo Powers. Why? They got PDFs online I can look at, but something about it is just not the same than reading it in your hand. I even told her I wanted for Christmas, get this, Sears wish books. Yes, I said, hey, go to eBay. I want you to buy me some Sears wish books from like 1988 that I can look through. Why? Because it's my childhood in that book. For some reason, I want it. I mean, if you look at my room, you will see things like Simpsons memorabilia, The Predator, Goonies, things like that, Peanuts. I mean, just things that I remember from my childhood that makes me go back to a place in time where everything seemed right in the world. Now, my childhood was not the best childhood. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood, but I cling to those things that make me happy. Things like that, whether it's a figurine, whether it's a movie, a lunchbox, whatever it may be. If I see it, I'm like, I remember that. I remember that toy. I remember when Castle Grayskull was awaiting me on Christmas morning. That takes me back to an extremely happy place that I know I'll never be able to get back, but at least even if it's for a moment, I want to try. It's probably the reason that I never went to Disney World as a kid, besides the reason we were poor. But then as an adult, finally went to Disney World thinking, it will be fun. And now it's almost like an obsession because when you go to Disney World, everyone truly is a kid. And if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, and you saw those commercials of Mickey standing on top of the Epcot, what I called a golf ball as a kid, and you would see the TV shows like Full House and Boy Meets World and Roseanne, all those shows that would film at Disney World, you're like, I've got to go there someday. And once you get back from Disney World, you're like, I got to figure out how I get back because you want to grab that nostalgia in any way you can. I always wondered why our parents didn't seem to be the same way. Like my parents, I never see them hold on to anything from their childhood, like a favorite TV show or even music. They might like, oh yeah, I used to love Poison and all that crap, but I don't see them wearing Poison t-shirts. Unless your mom is cool like that and still does her hair that way, then hey, good for you. But they never seem to cling on to their childhood as much as we do. And I always wondered, why was that? So I was getting tattooed recently, and I was talking to the artist who's also my friend, and we were talking about nostalgia, listening to synthwave, and just kind of reminiscing about that time of the 80s and the 90s when you had the movies, you had the music, you had the toys, all that stuff. And we were like, man, why are we this way? And he said something that I never thought about. He was saying, I actually read something about why our generation is so hooked on nostalgia. And I was like, well, why is that? He goes, 9/11. I thought to myself, 9/11? What do you mean? He said, because that event affected all of us so much that it almost like it ruined our childhood. Like it basically made us grow up immediately. And I said, yeah, I remember 9/11 like yesterday. I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing, all that kind of stuff. And I said, but what about our parents? They had the Cold War, they had Vietnam, and then their grandparents had, their parents had World War II, Korea War, things like that. He said, yeah, but none of that stuff was like right here in our soil. Yes, Pearl Harbor was on, in Hawaii, but it wasn't like right here in the, the continuous 48 states. It didn't affect them the same way as it affected us. And I said, so what you're saying is millennials can blame something else for all of our troubles. But it made a lot of sense. I never thought about it, but that could be one of the reasons, because it's almost like everything changed from that day on. So what we do is we live in this world now where the internet's on 24/7, news is on 24/7, people questioning what's real, what's fake, who's telling the truth, who's lying. Is my truth the same as your truth? And is what I'm seeing the same thing as what you're seeing? And there's just so much confusion in the world. And so what we do is we go back to that point in time when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have a cell phone where we just we stared at all day. We went outside, we played in the creeks, we came home when the street lights came on, things like that. There was a time when things were simpler, when devil worshiping was the scariest thing in the world, and now we just have a statue that comes to Little Rock and people go, oh my God! It's different times, but it's like, yeah, maybe that was the thing that just changed everything. With nostalgia, it's like we still need this to be happy. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. I love nostalgia. I'll always love nostalgic things from my childhood because it's one of those things that you're told as a kid, enjoy this now because one day you're not going to have this. You're going to grow up and you're going to wish you enjoyed your childhood more. That's the best advice any parent could ever give their child, which every child will not believe because they want to drive a car, they want to, have money, all that kind of stuff. But it's cool that we live in a time now that even if we can't bring back our youth, we can bring back things from our youth. So my advice to you, if you are a nostalgic nerd like me, eBay is your friend and your worst enemy. Be very, very careful about eBay. I say look once every couple of months, otherwise bad news will happen to you.
Just bad news.
We live in a time where everyone just takes a big dump on millennials, saying that they're worthless, they're lazy, they're stupid, they're selfish, they're, whatever, which all might have some truth to them, but their generation before them said the same thing about them, and we'll say the same thing about the next generation coming up. It's just the way things are. But if there's something in your childhood that you just miss so much, and that's going to make you kind of feel happy, even if it's happy for 10 minutes, I'm all for it. Go get it. Do something that's going to make you happy in this life now that we live that's so crazy, so chaotic. Put it in a little room and just go, you know what? I'm going to go back there. I'm going to just reminisce on my childhood. Watch some Goonies, watch some Lost Boys, watch Secret of the Ooze, all those things. Because if I need to escape for just a little bit before I go back to this crap that we have to deal with on a daily basis, it's worth it. That's it for my nostalgia review. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so that way when there's new videos that come out, hey, you'll be the first one to see it. And also tell your friends if you think they might like this channel. I review anything and everything. It doesn't matter. If it's out there, I'll try to review it. So thank all you guys for checking out this video. Like I said, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you next time right here on Rando Reviews.